Okay, hello guys. Pasensya na, ngayon lang ako nakapag-record kasi ang sakit talaga ng lalamunan ko. As in, ang nangyari kasi sa akin is nagka-flu ako followed by tonsillitis. My tonsils are always acting up, kaya yan, sakit lalamunan. Kaya hindi ko kaya mag-synchronous ngayon. Kasi kapag mag-synchronous ako, dalawang beses ko siya uulitin eh. Baka hindi kayanan ng throat ko. Okay? So, record na lang natin. Okay? So, anyway, we left this topic last time. So, dito tayo nabitin sa nuclear bombardment reaction. Then, today, we're going to cover the entire remaining topics. Okay? So, yan. By the way, the file is already updated. So, please download them. Nasa Canvas lang sila. Okay? So, ano ba yung mga na-discuss natin last time, no? So, just a quick recap. We realized the difference of chemical reactions with nuclear reactions. Pag chemical reactions, ang alam natin, yung electrons yung involved, di ba? But for nuclear reactions, it involves the nucleus of the atom during a reaction. And since the nucleus of the atom is changing, that means in nuclear reactions, the element may change. Okay? Pwede magbago yung kanyang mass, pwede magbago yung kanyang atomic number. Okay? So that is actually the goal of alchemists before, no? Kasi gusto nila gawing yung mga bagay into gold, di ba? So, naghahanap sila ng ways. Yung pala, ang sagot doon is nuclear chemistry. Okay? But nuclear chemistry is just an early, this is just a relatively new field of science because this was discovered around 18th century, late 18th century, early 19th century by Henry Becquerel. Okay? Tapos doon nakita niya that there are materials that will emit certain particles, no? And with it, nakagawa siya ng kanyang X-ray image, and he called the particles emitted by this material the X-ray. Okay. And then later on, many scientists have been interested with nuclear science, okay, including Ernest Rutherford, who did the gold foil experiment in order to determine the nuclear structure. What else? Marie Curie, who further studied nuclear materials, no? And yun yung kanyang thesis, no? She was the first woman to actually graduate, no, sa PhD. Okay? So, yung kanyang PhD thesis is about nuclear reactions. Okay? And many other scientists studied it, no? Um, and then we were able to create atomic clocks, medicinal materials, no? And then mga atomic bombs, ayun. And nuclear power plants, okay? So medyo maraming improvement yun nangyari sa nuclear chemistry, no? From just X-rays ngayon, naging ano na siya, naging alpha, beta, gamma, meron tayong positron, okay, electron, neutrino, okay, so mga ganun. Anyway, so with all of that, no, let us now study the radiations on matter, detection, and biological effects. No? So this is one of the concerns when you are actually doing nuclear science. No? Medyo malaking concern to. Kasi aware naman tayo, no? Hindi naman natin mapaikakaila, no? That in the Chernobyl accident, no? Sa Chernobyl accident, some of them died sa nuclear sickness, no? And some of them caught cancer, no? So, ngayon, paano mo makukuha, paano mo malalaman kung may nuclear activity dyan sa paligid mo? And ano kaya magiging possible effects niya sa body and bakit ganon? Okay? So, ayun na nga. So, kapag meron tayong nuclear material, typically, they dissipate alpha, beta, gamma particles, no? Okay? And these are forms of ionizing radiation. Okay? They are forms of ionizing radiation. Ano meaning ng ionizing uh, radiation? No? Ito yung part ng electromagnetic spectrum that could actually knock off the atom from a molecule. Pwede niya patalsikin yung mga atom sa mga molecule or it can induce charge to the molecule. Kaya nga tinawag siyang ionizing radiation. Okay? O remember, yung electromagnetic spectrum niya, you have your non-ionizing, then you have your visible light, and then you have your ionizing. Ano yun? Sa non-ionizing, you have your radio, IR, microwave. Uh, I think baliktad data. So, something like that. And then you will have your Roy G. Biv. And then, pagdating ng ionizing, then somewhere farther, there you have your gamma. Okay? Your UV. I forgot something, pero yan. So, ang difference nitong ionizing radiation sa non-ionizing radiation is that ionizing radiation can actually kick start a reaction. Pwede niya pagganahin yung reaction, pwede siya maggawa ng panibagong reaction. And that is very dangerous to humans. Okay? Later on, makikita nyo bakit siya dangerous. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, yung mga radio waves, hindi naman siya ionizing. So, ibig sabihin, wala lang. No? So, kaya fake news yung, kunwari, sa cellphone, may nabasa kayo sa Facebook. No? Sabi nyo sa cellphone no, nakaka-cancer. Mali yun. Bakit yung nasa cellphone kasi is just radio waves. Radio waves lang nilalabas nun and possibly infrared kaya mainit sa balat, no? But they fall under the category of non-ionizing radiation. Ibig sabihin they will not kickstart a reaction in your body. However, other forms of the radiation yung pwedeng mag-kickstart ng reaction sa body mo such as yung mga UV rays, gamma rays, no, X-rays, ayan. So sila yung mga nakakagawa ng mga ganong bagay. Sila yung nagko-cause ng mga chemical reaction, therefore they are dangerous. So yung cellphone nyo, safe yan. No? Kahit idikit mo yan, kahit mag-ML ka buong araw, medyo kabahan ka na kapag nag-ML ka buong araw. No? Pero ayun, they are generally safe no? Because they do not ionize your atoms. No? They do not kickstart chemical reactions in your body. However, yung mga ionizing, yun nga, they start reactions. No? So now, paano mo malalaman kung may radiation sa paligid? No? Okay. Typically, ito lang yung ginagamit dyan, the Geiger counter. Okay. So Geiger counter, this is used in determining alpha and beta particles. Okay. Remember that these particles are ionizing radiation, di ba? Okay. So the Geiger counter probe, ito yung Geiger counter probe, ito yan, itong tube na yan, itututok mo yan sa kung ano man na gusto mo itutok yan. For example, you discovered a mineral and you suspect it is radioactive, itututok mo ito doon sa mineral na yan. Tututok mo siya sa bato. So what will happen here is that we know that, for example, this particle emits radioactive particles, no? Such as alpha and beta particles. What will happen is that papasok yun sa probe. Okay? Then, somewhere inside, may argon gas yan. Okay? So, mangyayari, kapag natamaan ng alpha and beta particles yung argon gas, ang mangyayari is magiging charged particle yung argon. As a result, an electrical circuit will be completed. Okay? Mangkumpleto yung electrical circuit kasi may charged particles ka and yung charged particles na yon can go from anode to cathode, vice versa. Okay? Depending kung positive siya or negative na. So, basta ganun. Pag tumama yung alpha-beta particles dyan, magkakaroon ng charge yung ating argon gas. Okay? And when your argon gas is charged, then it can't complete the circuit. it can complete the circuit, no? And once the circuit is complete, you will hear a ticking sound, no? Yan yung gumaganon-ganon. Ayan yon, Geiger counter yon. Yung the more ticking sound, that means the more radiation is there. Okay? The more present yung radiation. Okay? Pero kapag konti lang yung ticking sound, ibig sabihin mababa. Okay? So ito yung ginagamit nila no sa sa mga, for example, sa Chernobyl, no, sa Fukushima, if they want to determine if there are radioactive particles left, no, then they will point the Geiger counter. Okay? Depending on the intensity of ticks, no? Yung natunog, no? Depende kung gaano karami yun, they can determine gaano pa karami yung material, nuclear material na natira doon. Okay? So, ganun. The other type of instrument we use in determining radiation is the scintillation counter. Okay? Kung si Geiger counter ay pang alpha and beta particles lang, take note na yung gamma particles hindi niya kaya i-detect. Bakit? Kasi gamma particle is uncharged. Okay? Wala siyang charge. So, kapag tumama yun dito, hindi siya makakomplete ng circuit. Okay? Ang kailangan kasi dito charge particle, either positive or negative, alpha or beta. Pero kapag gamma particle, wala siyang charge, so walang mangyayari. Okay? But suppose you want to determine the gamma particles as well, no? Then you can use the scintillation counter. Okay? So the scintillation counter is made with a photomultiplier tube. Okay? So ano meaning ng photomultiplier tube, no? Ito yon. So kumbaga, kunwari, ito yung ating gamma rays. Okay. So, our gamma rays, it will strike this surface muna so that kapag na-strike nyo yung surface na yan, liliwanag yan. Okay. So, yan. So, if this particle strikes this metal, it will glow. Okay. And then that glow will be intensified, no, by the photomultiplier tube. No? So, it consists of several mirrors enhancing the intensity of light. Okay, so ibig sabihin, pag mas malakas yung intensity ng light sa dulo, that means the instrument is sensitive na. Okay. So, ganun lang. So, pag tumama yung particle dyan, liliwanag yan. And then, yung liwanag na yun, mag-bounce dito so that it can be detected. No? So, this is one example here. Okay, medyo mabilis lang. Ayun, tumama dito, that is the gamma rays, for example, and then when it shines light, the light will go through a series of mirror. Okay, so they are actually not really mirror, they are called the dynode. Okay, so yan, mas lalakas yung intensity, and then yan, the detector can detect whether there is a radiation or wala. Okay, so this is one example of how a scintillation counter looks like. Mas maliit siya. Okay? Kasi yung photomultiplier tube, maliliit lang yan eh. Okay? Okay. So, ganun, no? So, if you want to detect alpha and beta rays, you need to use the Geiger counter. Otherwise, if you want to detect the alpha, beta, and the gamma particles, you have to use the scintillation counter. Again, the major difference is that Geiger counter depends on the charged particles, while scintillation counter doesn't depend on the charged particle. No? Kasi all of these particles can make the fluorescent part here glow na. So, yan. Pwede yan lumiwanag. Okay. Ang bigyan ko kayo example, totoo ba yung sinasabi ko? O tingin kayo ng fluorescent lamp nyo. Okay. Yung fluorescent lamp nyo, yung puti na yon, di ba pag binuksan mo yung ilaw, kulay puti siya. May gap yun doon sa dulo. Tignan nyo. Yung gap sa dulo doon, transparent yun. Silipin nyo. Pag nakita mo yung loob, wala naman nangyayari. it is invisible to the eye. But you know that the fluorescent lamp is glowing. Okay? Parang ganun yung idea dito, no? Inside the fluorescent lamp kasi, there are electrons. Okay? May mga beta particles. May mga electrons na tumatawid-tawid doon. Okay? Pero not technically beta particles sa electrons, no? Okay. So may electrons na tumatawid doon sa fluorescent lamp. So when they strike the white material, it will glow. Parang ganun lang din dito. So, ayan yung particle, pag tumama siya sa fluorescent na material, liliwanag yan. Okay? So, nasa fluorescent lamp ninyo yung magandang example nito. Okay? So, ngayon, na-detect na natin ano ngayon yung magiging effect niya. Excuse me. Ano ngayon yung magiging effect niya sa paligid natin. Okay? So, sabi ko nga sa inyo that ionizing radiations can kickstart chemical reactions. No? Okay? One of the dangerous part of the body that can be affected um, by these ionizing particles is the DNA. No? Medyo mahirap na matamaan tong DNA na to. Mahirap pag siya yung natamaan. Bakit? No? Kasi our DNA contains our genetic information. And once you alter that, it can cause mutations which can lead to cancer. Okay? Kaya nagkaka-cancer yung mga tao madalas if they are affected by nuclear fallouts, no? Okay? Such as those in Chernobyl and the Fukushima. Okay? So, ganun. So, ano ba nangyayari? Remember, ionizing particles can kick off or change the charge of your particles, no, in a molecule. For example, that molecule is DNA. O, nari, napatalsik niyo yung isang atom dyan. Ano mangyayari? Masisira yung DNA mo. So, once na masira yung DNA mo, it cannot reproduce anymore, or if it does, pwedeng mali yung kanyang maging copies, no? Okay. So, pag mali yung copies niya, mutated na yon, no? So, once na may mutated DNA, then it will grow eventually into cancer cells. Okay? So, ganun yung nangyayari pag natatamaan ka ng nuclear materials, no? Okay? So, yan. But take note na hindi naman porket na may nuclear material sa paligid ay magkaka-cancer ka automatically, no? Okay. Merong correct dosage para magka-cancer ka. Okay. So, yan. So, paano na-determine nila kung gaano karami na absorb mong nuclear materials, no? So, they use these units, the rad and the rem. Okay. Okay, so una is the rad, no? So the radiation absorbed dose. This is the dosage of radiation that deposits 1 × 10⁻⁻² joules of energy per kilogram of tissue. Okay. So itong rad na to, this is the intensity of the radiation that you actually absorb, no, when you are exposed to a material. And then the rem naman, okay, is the unit of radiation dosage in terms of biological destruction. So the formula is rad times RBE, or the relative biological effectiveness. Okay? So from this formula here, ibig sabihin that depending on the ionizing particle, pwedeng may effect yun sa'yo, pwedeng wala, no? Okay, so pwedeng negligible, pwedeng life-threatening, okay? For example, you are exposed to beta and gamma particles only, okay? Given the same rad, okay, medyo safe ka compared to those who absorb alpha particles directly. Kasi ang kanyang RBE ay 10 kaysa sa beta and gamma na 1, okay? So, bakit kaya 10 yung sa alpha? Kasi nga, alpha particle is a helium atom yan, okay? So, it is a big atom. It is a charged atom. So, it can really have a potential to replace the atoms inside your atom. No? Malaki siya eh. Ibig sabihin, mas marami siyang pwedeng matamaan na atoms. Kaya mas dangerous siya compared to these two, no? Okay. Okay. So, ayan lang. No? So, depending on the radiation that is there around you, pwedeng safe yun, pwedeng hindi. Okay. So, pwedeng safe, pwedeng hindi. Yan yung idea. But again, ang idea is wag na lang. Wag na lang magpatama sa nuclear material sa paligid. So, ibig sabihin, pag nakakita kayo ng material na nag-glow, okay, may mineral ka nakikita tapos nag-glow yon, wag mo na lapitan yon. I watched the infographic show on YouTube, no? Last nitong nagpapahinga ako. Meron daw doon na case sa Brazil, no? Wherein yung mga nangangalakal, may nakita silang radioactive na material pero hindi nila alam na radioactive 'yon kasi naggo-glow. So nangyari, binenta niya yung naggo-glow na material. Okay, maraming bumili. So eventually, yung mga bumili na yon either nagka-cancer o kaya namatay. Okay. So yan. So basta makita ka ng mga ganung materials, wag na. Okay? Wag na hawakan. Delikado. Kasi you don't know kung anong particles na labas doon. No? Okay. So yan. So that's the idea. Okay? So ganun lang. That is how radiation affects our body. No, it can directly alter your DNA, and once your DNA is altered, it can it can lead into cancer. Okay, kaya yon, most of them die in cancer. But the thing here is ganito. Some some isotopes, no, some nuclear isotopes are used to treat cancer. Medyo counterintuitive siya in a sense, no? Pero ganun, no? Yung ibang material, it can cause cancer. However, some of the nuclear materials can cure cancer. Okay? So, ganun. Mamaya di-discuss din natin yan. Okay? Okay, so take note of that. Some of them can be used to cure cancer. Some produces cancer. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, there's a good and bad side sa nuclear science. No? Okay? So, yan. By the way, the detectable effects are seen with doses as low as 30 rems. Okay? So, when you are exposed to 30 rems of radiation, then you will start feeling sick. And magsusuka ka na, yung iba nagtatae, ganun. So, yan. And then, i-admit sila sa hospital. Okay? So, yan. Again, emphasize lang natin, the effect of radiation depend not only on the dosage but on the length of time. No? Okay, for example, nagpa-X-ray ka. X-ray is a beta ray, ano ba? Okay. So electrons 'yun eh. So yung X-ray na 'yon, that is an ionizing radiation. Pero kapag nagpa-X-ray ka, 'di ba? Kasi mga 1 second lang tapos na. But if you are exposed to X-rays multiple times in a year, then you can start getting sick, no? Kaya nga 'di ba sabi ng doktor, pag nagpa-X-ray ka once a year lang dapat. Kasi nga beta rays 'yun eh, electrons 'yun eh. So, ibig sabihin the more you are exposed to that, then the more possible na mas mataas yung REM ng radiation yung ma-absorb ng body mo. Okay? So ganun, that's why hindi ka pwede magpa-X-ray kasi gusto mo lang. Okay? Hindi ka rin pwede magpa-X-ray ng parate unless said by the doctor, no? Kaya pag ano lang naman, physical exam lang yan, X-ray ka lang once, no? Pero kapag may injury, then you may need multiple X-rays, but as much as possible, they try to minimize that. Okay? So yun lang. Okay? So it does not depend only on the dosage, but also on the length of time. The more time you are exposed to that, then the more likely you will suffer from the consequences. Okay? So, yun lang. Okay, so later, di-discuss uli natin yung mga radioisotopes na ginagamit dito. Okay? So anyway, let's proceed with the rate of radioactive decay. Okay? So from this topic, dito natin malalaman kung kailan mawawala yung radioactive material sa paligid natin. Okay? So yan, for example, I have a material here, no? Kunwari, may isang tuldok ako ng radioactive material. Kailan siya mangangalahati? Kailan siya magiging 1/4? Kailan siya virtually mawawala? Okay? So, yun yung di-discuss natin. Okay? So, the rate of radioactive decay follows the first law kinetics or the first order kinetics. No? Sa chemistry, ang first order kinetics follow this formula. Okay? So, ito yung formula nun. Okay, so that's the rate in nuclear chemistry. And yan, yun yung first law, first order reaction rate. Okay, so yan yung formula niya. Okay, so the rate of radioactive decay, according to that, is proportional to the number of radioactive particles. No? And K will be our radioactive decay constant. Okay? The reason why may negative dyan sa harap is because nababawasan kasi yan over time. Ay, I'm sorry. Wala pala dapat negative to. Typo lang, sorry. Okay, so yan. So rate is equal to K and T. Okay, so walang negative, stand corrected there. Okay, so yan. So this tells us kung gaano karaming nuclide yung nawawala or yung nade-decay over time. Okay, so this is the formula we will use, and the decay constant can be expressed in terms of Curies. Okay, this is Curies. And 1 curie is equal to 3.7 times 10 raised to 10 disintegrations of nuclei per second. Okay? Ibig sabihin, ganyan karaming nuclei yung nagde-decay per second. Okay? So that's the formula for the radioactive decay. Rate is equals to K and T, again without the negative sign. Okay? So, from this equation, we can use calculus, no, to derive certain formulas useful later on. Okay, so for example, if you do some calculus, that formula can be converted into its half-life equation. The half-life equation for first order kinetics is this: T1 half equals ln2 over K. So ibig sabihin yan, the half-life of radioactive decay is not dependent on the amount of particles, rather it is dependent on the constant. Okay? So, yun lang yung gusto ko i-emphasize. Okay? So, that means, gano'n man karami yan, same pa rin yung magiging rate ng half-life niya. Okay? And then, if you want to determine the changes over time, we will use this formula. Okay? Okay, so, ngayon, paano ba natin nakuha yung mga equations na yan? Okay? So, we will take back dito sa first order kinetics. Okay? However, sabi ko 'di ba kanina, nababawasan to over time. So ibabalik natin yung negative sign na tinanggal ko kanina. Ganun kasi sa kinetics, no. Ito negative sign sa harap, ibabalik natin, okay? So ganun kasi, nababawasan siya over time. So we will write it as rate equals negative Kn. Okay, again, bakit may negative sign uli sa harap? Because we are treating it as we are treating this with calculus. So, ibig sabihin nababawasan na siya over time. Okay? Pero yung kaninang equation, yun na yun, okay yun. Pero ngayon kasi magka-calculus tayo, no? Kaya ibabalik ko yung negative sign. This is just to indicate na nababawasan siya over time. Okay? So we have the rate equals negative Kn. That is the first order equation form sa chemistry. Okay? So, remember, again, pag sinabing rate, that is the change of something over something, di ba? Ano ba yung nagbabago dito sa nuclear decay? Edi yung dami ng particles. So, basically, we can write it as the changes in the number of particles over time. So, that is our rate na. Okay? And then, kapag nag-differential equation kayo, you will see that this is a first order differential equation. So you may want to do separation of variables. That means yung n pagsasamahin, yung dt ililipat na lang sa kabila. Okay? So we can integrate that. Okay? So dn over n negative k dt. And then we will now integrate it. Yung n from initial to final amounts, yung time from 0 time to time t. Okay? So the antiderivative of 1 over n dn is ln of n, evaluated from initial to final, equal to negative k t. Okay? Yung k constant yan, so you can remove it from the integral sign. The antiderivative of dt is just t. We will also evaluate it from 0 to t. Okay? Apply the limits. Okay? So we will get ln nf minus ln ni equals negative kt. Okay? Yung 0, di ko na ilalagay kasi 0 yan eh. Okay? Now, I can rearrange this. So I will get the equation ln nf over ni equals negative kt. So this is the equation if you want to determine the fraction of the nuclei remaining after certain time. Okay, so yan. ln nf over equals negative kt. Okay, so yan. Yan. So ngayon, paano naman nakuha yung half-life, no? Half-life, meaning nun, yun yung time kung kailan kalahati na yung particles mo. Okay? So from initial na, 100 yan, kailan siya magiging 50? Yun yung half-life, no? Okay, yung time na yun, yun yung half-life. Okay, derive naman natin yung half-life. Half-life. Okay, so let me copy the equation. Excuse me. Okay, at half-life, remember na yung half-life is indicated as T1 half. Okay, yung final natin is half of the original. Okay, kaya nga half eh. Okay, so at half-life, yung final amounts ng particles mo ay kalahati na ng original. Okay, nangalahati na siya. So it means we need to substitute this into that, no? So yung NF natin magiging 1/2, NI na lang siya. Negative KT. 1/2. Okay, so the time is now the T1/2 or the half-life. Substitution lang yan, and you can see we can cancel the NI. So we will be left with ln 1/2 equals negative KT 1/2. Okay, ln of 1/2 is the same as negative ln of 2. Okay. Ano lang yan, properties of log. Okay. And negative sign, gawin mo na ng positive yan both. And derive for T1/2. And you will see that T1/2 is ln 2 over K. Ayan. So, ayan. That's how we arrive with this answer. Okay? So, yan. Again, baka magtaka kayo, no? Sir, ano ba gagamitin kong rate, no? Ito lang. Itong positive form. Itong negative form, ito yung ginamit ko for derivation. Pag nag-calculus ka, de-derive mo, ayan yung gagamitin mo. May negative sa harap. Pero kapag simple calculations lang, yung walang negative sa harap. Okay? Bakit may negative uli dito sa harap? Kasi we are assuming na nababawasan siya over time, which is the case. Okay? Kaya ganun. Okay, so with calculus, no, basic integral calculus, we can derive the equations for the radioactive decay. Okay, this is the rate of radioactive decay. This is the half-life equation, and this is the fraction of the nuclide remaining after a certain period of time. Right? So with all these three equations, we can start answering some problems. Excuse me. For example, we have this one. A 1 milligram sample of technetium-99 has an activity of 1.7 times 10 raised to negative 5 curies, decaying by beta emission. What is the decay constant for technetium-99? Okay? So, ano yung hinahanap? Ang hinahanap ay yung K. Right? Decay constant. So, you write the equation rate equals Kn. Okay? So, identify natin dito ano tong mga to. Ano yung rate? So, yung rate ay yung curies. Diba? Sinabi ko kanina na yung ating rate ay yung curies. Diba? Okay? So, ganun yung mangyayari. Yung rate ay yung curies na mismo. Okay, so ito yung dami ng nuclide disintegrating per seconds. Okay, so ito yung rate natin. Ano yung N? Yung N is the number of nuclides, no? Paano mo malalaman yung number of nuclides from the mass, no? Okay, ito yung N natin. Pero we have to do some conversions, okay? Bakit? Kasi itong Curies, kailangan i-express mo siya in terms of nuclides per seconds, 'di ba? Ano ba yung, ano ba yung conversion ng Curies to nuclide per second? Ito 'yon, 3.7 times 10 raised to 10 disintegration per second. So kailangan naka-nuclide per second to. So what we need to do is to convert the Curies into nuclide per second. Okay? So ganun gagawin mo ha. Hindi mo siya basta-basta isasalpak. Iko-convert mo pa muna. Okay? So 1.7 times 10 raised to negative 5 Curie. Ko-convert mo yan into disintegrations per second. No? 3.7 times 10 raised to 10 nuclides per second or disintegrations per second. Okay, so that is 1 Curie. Calculate. 1.7, excuse me. So that will be 62900. Nuclides per second. Okay, so that is the rate of the reaction. Ibig sabihin per second, 629,000 nuclides ang nagdi-disintegrate. Okay? So, ganun karami yung per second na nawawala na particles. Okay, so, yun na yung rate. Again, kapag sinabing rate, yes, yun yung Curies, but you have to convert it into nuclide per second using this conversion factor. Okay, kailangan kasi naka-nuclide per second yon. Okay, so yun yung rate natin, not the Curies itself. Okay, convert mo pa. So, ngayon, ano naman gagawin mo dito sa N? Naka-mass yan eh. Dapat nuclides din yan. Okay, kailangan naka-nuclide din yan. Excuse me. Okay, so kailangan naka-nuclide din to. So, paano mo i-convert yung mass into number of nuclides? No, you can use the Avogadro's number. Okay? The Avogadro's number tells you that 1 mole of a particle is equal to 6.02 times 10 raised to 23 number of particles. No? Okay. So, ko-convert natin yung mass into mole and then later on into number of particles using the Avogadro's number. Okay? So, convert natin yung mass into number of nuclides. Okay. Mali spelling ko. Yan. Okay, so ang mass natin is 1 milligram. So ano kaya yung molar mass natin? Kahit wag ka na tumingin sa periodic table. Sabi dyan, yung mass ng ating technetium ay 99. Okay? So convert natin yan into moles. Okay? So mole technetium equals 1 milligram divided by 99 grams per mole. Ay 1 milligram gawing grams, so 1,000 milligram, 1 gram. Okay? So the moles of technetium will be 1.01 times 10 raised to negative 5 moles. And then from the moles, we can convert it into number of nuclides using Avogadro's number. Okay? So from mole to number of nuclides tayo. Using Avogadro's number. Take note of that. So 1.01 times 10 raised to negative 5 mole. That is 1 mole. 6.022 times 10, 23 nuclides. Ito yung Avogadro's number. Okay, so you multiply it with the Avogadro's number, 6022 times 10 raised to 23. So the number of nuclides present in our sample will be 6.08 times 10 raised to 18 nuclide. Ay, ang daming nuclide na. Okay, so ganun lang. So before you start calculating, you have to convert stuff muna, okay? So convert mo yung curies into nuclide per second, convert mo yung mass into number of nuclides using Avogadro's number. And then from that, we can now solve for K, okay? So solving for K, that is equal to rate over N, which is, the rate is, 629,000 nuclide per second. Okay, and then the N, the number of nuclide, is 6.08 times 10 raised to 18 nuclides. Okay, the nuclide can now be cancelled, giving us the unit 1 per second. Per second ang kanyang unit for the K. Okay, so let's divide it na lang. Times 10 raised to 18. Okay, so this is the decay constant, 1.03 times 10 raised to negative 13 per second. And that is constant for that isotope. Okay. So again, if you encounter this type of problem, madali lang yan. Pero before you start solving for K, you have to convert the curies into nuclides per second and the mass into number of nuclides using Avogadro's number. Okay? So maraming conversion at first, pero the equation is direct na, as is na yan. Okay? So, ganun lang. Ito naman, next type of problem. The decay constant for the beta decay of technetium-99 is equal to 1 times 10 raised to negative 13 per second, which is what we solved earlier. Okay? What is the half-life of this isotope? Okay. So the equation for half-life, as you can remember, is equal to ln of 2 divided by K. Okay. So ganun lang. Plug in mo lang. ln2, 1 times 10 raised to negative 13 per second. So the T1 half, or the half-life, will be ln2 divided by 1 times 10, negative 13. Okay, so the half-life will be 6 point... Teka lang. Let me erase this. 6.93 times 10 raised to 12 seconds. Okay? Okay, naging seconds na yung unit kasi unit of time yan eh. So itong 1 over second sa denominator, it will reciprocate as seconds na. Now, our task is to convert these seconds into years. Kasi years yung gusto niya eh. Okay? So we need to convert that into years. Okay? So 6.93 times 10 raised to 12 second. Okay? So 60 seconds, 1 minute, 60 minutes rather, 1 hour, 24 hours, 1 day, and 365 days. Disregard mo na yung leap year. That should be 365.25. Yeah. Pero 365 na natin. Disregard nyo na yung leap year. 365 days, 1 year. Okay, so you have to do all those conversion. Okay, so from seconds to minutes, minutes to hours, hours to days, days to year. Okay, so you divide it by 60, divide it again by 60, divide it again by 24, and divide it again by 365. The answer will be a lot of time. Okay, so it will be 2.2 times 10 raised to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2.2 times 10 raised to 5 years. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, if you have 1 gram of technetium-99, para yan ay maging 0.5 grams, para yan ay mga lahate. Ganyan katagal na panahon. Okay? Ganyan katagal. Patay ka na, hindi pa siya nangangalahati. Okay? So, siguro namatay na yung buong human civilization. Hindi pa yun nangangalahati. Okay? Ganun ang nuclear chem na. Kaya medyo matagal talaga yung mga nuclear reactions. Okay? So, ganun. And also take note that the half-life is not dependent on the amount of particles. It is dependent in the decay constant. Okay, take note of that. Mahaba yung half-life, ganun talaga. But that depends on the isotope. Okay, may mga isotope na millisecond lang ang tinatagal. Meron namang dekada-dekada. O meron namang katulad nito, thousands of years. No? Yan na, ilang tao na namatay, hindi pa rin siya nangangalahati. Okay? So, ganun. Next type of problem, ito naman yung katulad ng sa, ito. Yan. So, we are now determining the fraction of material over time. Okay? Okay, so let's read. Phosphorus-32 is a radioactive isotope with half-life of 14.3 days. A biochemist has a vial containing a compound of phosphorus-32. If the compound is used in an experiment 5 days after the compound was prepared, what fraction of the original isotope remains? Suppose the sample in the vial originally contained 0.28 grams of phosphorus. How many grams will remain after 5.5 days? Okay, ganun na lang daw kaya karami yung matitira. Okay, so sagutin muna natin yung first question, yung fraction of the original isotope remaining. Okay, so ano daw kaya yung fraction ng original isotope remaining? Okay, so let's write the formula. NT over NO equals negative KT. Okay. Okay, so this is the formula, di ba? So that is the equation when determining the fraction of isotope remaining over time. However, basahin natin yung problem, no? KT ang kailangan. So, kailangan given yung decay constant and the time. Dapat given yon. Okay? Pero ano yung binigay sa atin? Ang binigay sa atin ay half-life. Half-life ang binigay sa atin. Ano gagawin natin dyan? Okay? So, half-life ang binigay sa atin. Okay? You can still recall, that the half-life is equals to ln2 over k. Okay? So, yan. So, we will substitute the k as, wait lang. We will substitute the k as ln2 over half-life. Kasi half-life yung binigay sa atin. Kung binigay niya yung k mismo, wala na tayong problema. Pa-plug in mo na lang yun doon. Pero, hindi binigay yung k. Ang binigay, half-life. So, you have to do something. Okay? So, from the half-life equation, you can determine the k. Substitute mo yun doon. Okay? Maraming substitution yung nangyayari dito. Kaya pagpasensyahan nyo na, guys. Times the time t. Okay? Still multiplied with the time t. Okay? So, iba yung half-life sa time t. Okay? So, since ang hinahanap ay fraction of time remaining, ito yon. Ito yung fraction of time remaining. So, we are going to solve for this. Okay? So, tanggalin natin yung ln. Alam nyo na kung paano tanggalin yan. Exponential lang yan. Okay? And now we can solve for the fraction. Okay? We can now solve for the fraction remaining. Okay? So that will be ln2 half-life will be 14.3 days. Okay? And the time is 5.5 days. Okay? Saan nanggaling yung 5.5? Ito yun, no? Sabi dyan, the compound was used 5.5 days after. So, yun yung time t. Okay? So, yun yung time t, yung 5.5 days. Okay? Saan galing yung 14.3 days? Yun yung half-life. Okay? Yun yung half-life natin. Yun yung t 1/2. Okay? So, basahin lang maigi. So, now, ano yung fraction ng isotope remaining? The NT over NO. Pag sinabing fraction, yan yun, yung NT over NO. Solve ko lang. Ln negative ln2, 14.3, 5.5, 0.77. Ibig sabihin yan, 77% na lang yung natitira after some time. Okay? After 5.5 days, 77% na lang yung natitira. Okay? So ngayon, ilang grams daw? So nasagot na natin yung first fraction. Yun yung, nasagot na natin yung first question. Yan yung fraction. 77% na lang. So ngayon, sagutin natin yung tanong, ilang grams? Okay? So, ilang grams na lang daw. So, basically, pwede mo gawin is from the original grams. So, from the original grams, i-multiply mo kung ilan na lang ngayon natitira. Okay? So, times 0.77. Okay? So, paano natin nalaman na ganyan yung formula na gagamitin? O, dito yon NT equals 0.77 times NO. Ang original number ng particles natin ay 0.28 grams. Okay? So, 0.28 pala to dapat. Sorry for that. Times 0.77. Para malaman natin ilang grams na lang matitira after some time. Okay? So, ang sagot will be 0.2156 grams. Okay? After 5 days. Okay? So, yan. So, after 5 days, yung 0.28 grams natin, ngayon ay 0.21 grams na lang siya or 0.22 grams pag na-round off. Okay? So, yan. Ganun lang. So, ganyan yung calculation sa radioactive decay. Tatlong formula lang naman yung ginagamit, no? So, kaya ako nagbigay ng tatlong calculations kasi papakita ko dito kung paano ginagamit yung formulas na yan. So, itong formula na to, take note, gagamitin mo to kapag tinatanong, pag given yung rate, given yung number of nuclides, hinahanap yung K, or any of those, no? So, take note lang na yung curies, i-convert nyo to nuclide per second using this conversion factor. Kapag given yung mass, hinahanap yung number of nuclides, you use Avogadro's number. Mass to mole, mole to Avogadro's number. Okay. Ito naman, kapag half-life, straightforward lang to. I-plug in mo lang yung K, makuha mo yung half-life. Kung gusto mo hanapin yung K, cross-multiply mo lang yan. Okay? So, K will be equal to ln of 2 over half-life. Okay? And then, ito naman, this is about the fraction of nuclide remaining over time. Okay? So, ito yung formula natin. Ayan. Again, kapag hindi given yung K mismo, given ang half-life, you can use substitution. Okay? Katulad nito kasi hindi binigay yung K, ang binigay half-life. Edi, we know that we can get the K from the half-life. Ito yon. Plug in mo lang doon. Okay? And kapag tinanong yung fraction, take note, ito yon, ito yung fraction. So, yun, tanggalin mo lang siya sa ln. Yun na yung fraction. If you want to determine the specific mass, then you can just cross-multiply. Then you will get your answer. Okay? So, this will be your problem set. Medyo marami. Pasensya na. Ayan. So, ayan. Bigyan ko kayo ng clue, no? So, ito decay constant, you can use the formula. the first formula, rate is equals to Kn. Okay? So, yung rate, yun yung curies. Convert nyo yan into nuclide per second. And then, yung 2.5, kalimutan ko yung tawag dyan. Yung 2.5 micrograms of 2.5 micrograms of technetium-99 metastable. Convert mo into number of nuclides. No? Convert mo to into grams, then convert mo yung grams niyan into moles, then moles into Avogadro's number to get the number of nuclides. Then use the formula rate equals Kn. So ito naman, pangalawa, o half-life hinahanap. Ang given ay K, so you just use the half-life formula. T1 half equals ln2 over K. Ito na sa baba, fraction that remains after 25 years. So you use ln nt over no equals negative kt. Okay, so use the formula. Now take note, ang given ay half-life. So you need to substitute the k into ln2 over t1 half. Okay, so this problem naman, ano yung hinahanap dito? Hinahanap yung activity. So, you are solving for the rate. Okay? So, yan. So, given yung half-life, so you can solve for the K. And then, given yung mass, you can solve for the N. Okay? Convert mo yung mass into nuclides. Then, you can multiply them to get the rate or the curies. And then, last one, nahanap yung decay constant. Anong pwede mo gamitin for decay constant? So, half-life given. And then yung activity, edi yung rate lang yan. Okay? Express the activity in curies. Okay? Ganun lang, easy lang. Next application of this one is very interesting. Mas matutuwa kayo dito sa part na to. This is radioactive dating. Ito yung ginagamit ng mga archaeologists to determine gaano nakatagal yung mga materials sa paligid natin, no? For example, you found out a human skeleton. Okay? You can actually determine kung gaano siya katagal by doing gaano na siya katagal na nasa ilalim ng lupa, no? Using radioactive dating or the carbon-14 dating. Okay? So ano ba meron special with carbon-14? Okay? So in our atmosphere, okay, in our atmosphere currently ngayon, we are experiencing carbon-14 sa paligid, no? That happens because of the cosmic rays of the sun, no? So yung cosmic radiation from the outer space, they bombard nitrogen particles in order to convert into carbon-14. Okay? However, carbon-14 will return back into the nitrogen form over time. Okay? So, by determining kung gano'n na karami yung natitirang carbon-14 sa isang skeleton, for example, you can compare it with the environment. You can compare it with the atmospheric carbon-14, then you can do some calculations para malaman mo gano'n na siya katagal na sa ilalim ng lupa. Okay, para mas clear yung visuals, ganito yan. Okay? Para mas clear yung sinabi ko, ganito lang yan. Yung nitrogen sa atmosphere na convert into carbon-14. Okay? So yan, mapupunta yun sa halaman. Kapag nag-photosynthesis, no? Magiging sugar yan. So, ibig sabihin sugar doon, sometimes may carbon-14 sila and then kakainin yun ng animal or for example, ng tao. So, kunwari namatay yan, di ba ibabaon mo yan sa ilalim ng lupa. Ibig sabihin nun, yung carbon-14 niya will be lesser than the carbon-14 in the atmosphere. Okay? Yung carbon-14 in the atmosphere kasi is always refreshed, no? Refreshed yan parate because of this reaction in the atmosphere. Okay? Pero, pag ikaw ay nasa ilalim ka na ng lupa, there is no way para ma-refresh yung carbon-14 mo. So, ibig sabihin, your carbon-14 will now decay again into nitrogen. Okay? So, by determining gano'n karaming carbon-14 dito compared to the atmospheric carbon-14, then you can determine the time kung kailan nag-exist yung kailan siya nilibing. Okay? So, ganun ginagawa nila. For example, dinosaur, kumakain yan ng halaman, o may carbon-14 halaman, mapupunta sa kanya yung carbon-14. Tapos namatay sila. Yung carbon-14 ng dinosaur, iba na yon sa carbon-14 sa paligid natin ngayon. Compare mo lang yung dalawang amounts ng carbon-14, malalaman mo gano'n sila katagal napatay. Okay? So, ganun lang yung idea dyan. Okay? So, let's try this one. Madali lang to. By the way, the equation to be used is yung fraction of nuclide, no? The ln nt over nf. Okay? So, let's try this problem. Excuse me. A piece of charcoal from a tree killed by the volcanic eruption that formed the crater lake in Oregon gave 7 disintegrations of carbon per minute per gram of total carbon. So ano to? Ito yung ito yung nasa sample natin. Okay? Present day carbon gives 15.3 disintegration per minute per gram of total carbon. Determine the date of the volcanic eruption. Recall that half-life of carbon is 5, 7, 30 years. O ano daw nangyari diyan? Bago ka pa mag-worry masyado, tandaan mo ang formula na gagamitin natin is this formula. Ayan yung formula na gagamitin natin. So, sir, ano to? Ano tong 7 disintegration per minute per gram? Yun yung yun yung activity ng carbon-14 after certain time. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, this is the number of nuclides at this time, at certain time. Okay? Yan yung NT natin. Tapos, sabi dyan, the present day carbon gives 15.3 disintegration per minutes per gram. So, parang ito yung original. Take note of that. Ito, constant yan. Okay? So, wag nyo kabisaduhin, pero be familiar lang. Okay? So, ito constant yan. Ganyan talaga yan over ngayon. Pero, ito yung nasa puno. Okay? Nakabaon na siya sa ilalim ng lupa. Nung dinetect yung carbon-14, 7 na lang daw yon instead of 15. Okay? So, instead of 15, 7 na lang over certain time. Ang tanong, gano'ng katagal siya nasa ilalim ng lupa? Okay? So, we will use this formula. Again, take note, NT, yun yung activity ng sample mo. NO, ito yung present day. Okay? Itong 15.3. Okay? So, yung ipa-plug in natin dito, 7 to, 15.3 to. Okay? So, kailangan alam mo yung K, pero ang binigay sa atin ay half-life. So, madali lang yan. K is equals to ln2 over T1 half. Okay? So, we can substitute all of those dito. So, we will get NT over NO. Hinahanap natin yung T. So, that will just be this. Okay? So, this is the formula we will use to determine kung gaano nakatagal na sa ilalim ng lupa itong charcoal na yan. Okay? So, yan. We will use this formula. T is equal to 1/2 K ln NT over NO. Okay? And K, as we know, K will be this. Okay? So, substitute natin to. So, let me rewrite the equation. Okay, yung K natin, papalitan natin ng half-life expression. So, that will become T1 half over ln2 ln NT over NO. Siguro nagtataka kayo, no? Bakit baliktad? Kasi nga, yung K nasa baba, no? Pakita ko sa inyo, 1 over ln2 over T1 half. Diba, you can reciprocate this. Pwede mo ilagay yun doon sa taas, diba? Kaya magiging ganyan yan. Okay? So, yan. So, this will be the formula na gagamitin natin in this problem. Okay? So, substitute mo na lang. So, the half-life of carbon is 5, 7, 30 years. ln2, ln, yung sa sample mo, is 7. Wag mo nilagay yung disintegration per minute per gram, no? 7 na lang. Okay lang yan. And then, yung sa carbon-14 na present day is 15.3. Ganun lang. And then now you can solve for the time. So that will be negative 5,730 years divided by ln2. ln 7 divided by 15.3. Okay? So that will be 6,464 years ago. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ganyan katagal na siya nasa ilalim ng lupa. So, it took around 6,000 years to decrease the activity of carbon-14 from 15 to 7. Okay? So, ganun katagal. So, from 15.3 into 7, it will take around 6,000 years ago. The year now is 2021. So, kailan kaya ito nangyari? 2021 minus 6,464. So this happened around 4443 before Common Era. Eh, wala pa si Jesus Christ. Nakalubog na yung nakalubog na yung na yan. Nakalubog na yung charcoal na yan. Okay? So 4,443 before Common Era. Okay? And tagal na, Okay, so ayan. So, ganun lang. So, ito, problem set. Again, yung disintegrations per minute per gram, yun yung N. Okay? So, ito, problem set. Bigyan ko kayo idea. So, yan yung NT natin. Ito yung NO. Okay? Again, always constant yung NO natin. 15.3. Yan yung present day carbon activity. Tapos itong 4.5, ito yung carbon activity ng jawbone na yan. Okay? So, you have to determine gano'n na katagal yung jawbone na yun. So, determine the time. Okay? So, ganun lang. Isa lang yung problem set dyan. Okay. So, now let's go to another application of radioactive isotopes. No? So, ito nga, this is in connection with what we discussed earlier. No? O kanina nag-discuss tayo ng biological effects, di ba? Sinabi ako doon na ang radioactive isotopes, they can be used to cure cancer, di ba? Okay? And hindi lang doon, no? Marami siyang application. For example, radioactive isotopes can be used in order to determine chemical compositions. Okay? So sometimes they can be used as radioactive tracers, no? To determine whether there are small amounts of particles present in your sample. Okay, and other techniques are described below. Okay, pero hindi na ako magdodwell sa kanila. Okay, so this is a recent study from the Philippine Nuclear Research Institute, PNRI, wherein they used the iodine 129, which is an isotope of iodine, in order to determine the salinity of groundwater in Pampanga. Okay? So, ang paradigm nila dyan is ganito, no? So, the iodine 129, meron yan sa atmosphere natin, no? So, possible because of the bombardment of cosmic rays sa ating atmosphere, kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng iodine 129. So, when it rains, no, napupunta yan sa dagat, no? Ay mapupunta yan sa bodies of water sa lupa, no? For example, sa river o kaya sa dagat. Okay. So, by determining the amounts of iodine 129, they can determine yung salinity ng body of water, no? They can determine the salinity of the body of water. So, yung paper na to medyo marami pa siyang technicalities, pero ang idea is yun nga, ginamit niya yung iodine 129 to determine the origin of salinity. Marami pa siyang sinabi sa paper pero hindi ko na masyado inintindi. Okay. So that is one application of radioactive isotope. No, it can be used as radioactive tracer. Okay, pwede ka mag-determine ng origins of stuff na. Okay. Also, PNRI uses radioactive tracers to determine radiation in corals. No? Remember, yung Fukushima, nagka-accident doon, 'di ba? After the um, tsunami, the Fukushima nuclear power plant failed, no? So sumabog yung isang core niya. So some of the radioactive materials have been discarded into the ocean. And some of the discarded radioactive material actually nakarating even sa Philippines, no? Due to ocean currents, no? So, ginagawa ng mga PNRI scientists natin is that they determine yung presence or yung amount ng radioactive nuclei dyan sa ating corals, no? To see the extent of the contamination of ocean due to the Fukushima accident. Okay? So, ganun lang, dinedetermine lang nila yung dami ng isotopes na from Fukushima. Okay? So, ganun. So, again, radioactive isotopes can be used as radioactive tracers. Okay? Pwede ka mag-trace kung saan sila nanggaling, gano'n sila karami. Okay? So, ganun ginagawa ng mga scientists natin sa PNRI. Another beneficial use of radioactive isotope is ito nga for medical therapy. Okay? So, these are some of the radioactive isotopes and their uses. For example, radium-226, 222, and cobalt-60 are used for cancer therapy. Okay, so ito yung example done. So this is the cobalt therapy. This was done in the early 19th century. So dito may cobalt dyan emitting gamma rays, and that will be pointed to the part of the body kung saan mayroong cancer cells. No? So the radiation can actually kill the cancer cell, no? Which is sabi ko nga medyo weird, no? Because some forms of radiation can lead to cancer, but some radioactive particles can cure cancer. Galing, no? So it is sometimes good, minsan hindi rin good, no? Pero 'yun. Okay. So, yan. So, cancer therapy. So, yan. Tatama dyan yung mga alpha, beta, gamma rays, no? To a specific portion of the body to kill the tumor or to kill the cancer cells. Some types of isotopes used are technetium-99. Siya ay ginagamit to image the body organs. Ito yan. So, kung saan i-inject yan sa body mo mismo, and then kung saan sila makakita ng malaking kumpol ng technetium-99, ibig sabihin yun yung part ng body na possible may problem. Okay? Kunwari, nagkumpul-kumpul sila sa isang position, ibig sabihin siguro andun yung tumor, na ganun ginagawa ng technetium-99. Okay, thallium-201 is used to determine if there are heart disease. So sa puso naman siya papasok. So ito yung ating puso. It will i-scan yan. So may thallium na radioactive isotope na i-ano sa puso, i-introduce. And then they will determine kung kumusta yung shape ng puso mo. Okay? And then iodine-131 is used to determine the thyroid activity. Remember yung thyroid natin, maraming iodine karamihan dyan. Okay? So, to determine if abnormal yung size ng thyroid natin, ayan, they use iodine-131 to image the thyroid glands. No? Diyan malalaman kung may deformity. Phosphorus-32 is used to determine tumor, and iron-59 is used to determine the rate of formation of red blood cells. Okay? Ibig sabihin, may mga good things din naman pala na makukuha tayo from radioactive materials. Okay. So other example of application of radioactive material ay sa smoke detectors, no? So merong americium sa smoke detector. Okay. So ito yung itsura nun. So yung americium, it will constantly emit radioactive particles. Okay. And that completes the circuit. However, once na may smoke particle na pumasok doon, the circuit will be not completed, no? I mean, may interfere yung circuit mo. And once the circuit is interfered, then your smoke detector will start to do its work na. Mag-a-alarm yan. Okay? So, ganun. So, ibig sabihin, hindi lang puro bad thing yung nuclear science. May good thing din. And actually, mas marami siyang good kaysa sa bad, no? So, yung bad naman, nangyayari lang yan due to accidents, no? And accidents nga, no? Hindi mo naman sinasadya yan, no? But, if you use nuclear science correctly, then hindi ka, wala siyang harm na maidudulot sa iyo, okay? So, ganun lang. So, kapag hindi naman masama yung use mo sa kanya, then no problem tayo dyan, okay? So, ganun lang. Okay? So, yun lang. Let's proceed with the next part of the topic, which is the energy of nuclear reactions. Okay? So, energy of nuclear reactions, di ba? For example, we have this nuclear reaction. No? Gano'ng karaming energy yung kaya niya i-produce. Okay? So, we can use the formula here by Einstein, the E equals mc square. Okay? Share ko lang. But upon the discovery of that formula by Einstein, the E equals mc square, ginamit siya to create nuclear bombs by the United States. Okay? Starting nung na-discover yung formula na yon, E equals mc square, doon na siya ginamit for nuclear bombs. No? Okay. So, how will we apply this formula, this equation by Einstein, dito sa nuclear reactions? Okay? So, mapapansin mo, this is our materials, no? So, you have uranium-238 on the left side, and on the product side, it decayed into thorium-234 and helium-4, no? Ibig sabihin, may changes sa mass ng particle natin. Okay? Magbabago yung kanilang mass. No? As a result, magbabago yung kanilang energy. So, as the energy changes, the mass changes as well. So, this is the formula that we will use now. The change in energy equals the change in mass times the c square. Still Einstein's equation. Okay? So, ngayon, paano natin to i-apply? Okay? Paano natin to i-apply dito sa ating problem na to? Okay, so madali lang, no? Okay, so let's use the formula E equals M delta M C square. Okay, so paano yung delta M? So determine mo yung mass ng reactant and the product, no? Then isubtract mo sila. Okay, sabi dito, the exact atomic mass of uranium is this, 238.0008, 0003 pala. For thorium, that will be 233.9942. And for helium, that will be 4.00150. Okay? So, yun yung kanilang mass grams, no? Okay, so gawin natin, isubtract natin yung products minus the reactants. So, let's solve for the delta M first, no? This is the mass of the products minus the reactants. Okay, so in the product side, we have 233.9942 minus plus 40015. Okay, yan yung product side natin minus yung sa reactant side, which is 238.0003. So what's the delta M? Product minus reactant yan. So 233.9942 for 00150 minus yung reactant 238.0003. So the change in mass is negative 4.6 times 10 raised to negative 3 grams. Okay? So yun yung change in mass. Okay? Or grams per mole. Okay. So yun yung change in mass, no? So as a result, there will be also changes in the energy. Okay? Yun yung energy equivalence, no? Okay, so some of the mass difference, na-convert siya into energy. Yun yung purpose ng equation ni Einstein. Okay? So itong delta M natin, let's substitute it with that, no? So negative 4.6 times 10 raised to negative 3 grams. Then we will multiply it by the speed of light squared, no? However, itong grams, we need to convert this into kilograms, okay? So 1,000 grams, sorry. So this will be 1,000 grams, 1 kilogram, okay? And then the speed of light squared, okay? So that will be 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per second. Then square mo lahat yan. Okay? So the delta E will be negative. Okay? So ano na lang? Pakisolve na lang. 3 times 3 times 10 raised to 8 tapos naka-square. So that will be 4.14 times 10 raised to 11 kilogram meter square per second square. What is kilogram meter square per second square? That is joule. Okay? That is joule. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, that is exothermic. Kasi negative yung delta E, exothermic yan. So, ibig sabihin, it will release that much energy. 4.14 times 10 raised to 11 joule. Ganun kalaki yung kaya niya i-release. Okay? 200 grams lang yan, less than 1 kilo lang yan. Pero, the energy equivalent to that is a lot, no? Sobrang dami. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, nuclear reactions are really energetic, no? Napaka-energetic niya. 200 grams lang ng uranium, ganyang karaming energy na yung kaya niya ma-produce. So, yun. Kaya siya ginagamit sa nuclear power plants because it is highly energetic. Okay? So, ganun lang. Highly energetic. So, again, that's how we determine the energy involved in nuclear reactions. Determine the mass of the reactant, the product, usually ibibigay yon, and then you subtract them to get the delta M. Then, using the delta M, convert that into kilograms, then use the Einstein equation, delta E equals delta M, C square. Okay? And take note that kilogram meter square per second square is a unit of energy, joule. Okay? Yan. So, ganun lang gagawin mo. So, for your reference, ito yung mga specific masses ng nuclides natin. It's important na naka-indicate lahat ng decimals. Kasi yung difference ng mass ay decimal lang din. And mapansin mo, although small lang yung difference ng mass, no, the change in the mass, onti lang siya. Pero in terms of energy, that's a lot. No? Sobrang dami. Okay? So, ganun. So, for your prob set, just do the same process. No? Just do the same process here to determine the energy involved in the nuclear reactions. By the way, the masses of the isotopes are given here already. So, lahat ng mga isotope na nandyan, andito yung kanilang mga specific atomic masses. So, gagawin mo lang, subtract ka lang. Okay? So, ganun. So, dun mo malalaman, dun mo marirealize that the energy in nuclear reactions are very huge, no? Okay? Kaya nga yung sun natin, ayun, ang daming energy niya. Okay? So, yan. Ito, quick kwento lang, the nuclear binding energy. Okay? Di ba mapapansin mo, may mass difference tayo, di ba? In the nuclear reactions. Yung mass difference ay yung products minus reactants. No? Okay? So, mapapansin mo, may difference sa mass, no? And that difference in the mass actually pertains to the nuclear binding energy. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, yun yung rubber band na nasa nucleus. So, kapag nasira yung rubber band sa nucleus na yun yung negative na delta M. Okay? Pag nasira yung rubber band sa nucleus, imaginary lang yun, Yun yung delta M. Yun yung negative na mass na nakukuha natin. Yung energy na yon, the nuclear energy, the strong nuclear force, no, yun yung nasisira kapag nagno-nuclear reaction tayo. Kaya ayun, so negative yung delta M na nakukuha natin. Yung nasa nucleus kasi. And that we know that that negative mass is converted into energy during nuclear reactions. Okay? So, ganun lang. Yun lang yung gusto natin i-point out dito. Okay? So, yung mga negative na nakukuha natin na mass dito, that pertains to the nuclear energy. Yun yung energy ng nucleus. No? Ayan. When it starts disintegrating. Okay? And for every atoms, iba-iba yung kanilang nuclear binding energy. Okay? So for example, we have here the atoms and their corresponding nuclear binding energy in mega electron volts. Okay, so this is hydrogen up to iron, and then you have your uranium here. What you can see here dito sa graph is that the iron has the highest nuclear binding energy. Ibig sabihin, iron is the most stable element in terms of nuclear binding energy. Any elements less than the iron will tend to go nuclear fusion, and any elements greater than iron will tend to undergo nuclear fission. Okay? So, yun yung idea. So, ang iron yung pinaka-stable because it has the highest nuclear binding energy. Okay? Any elements less than the iron is supposed to undergo nuclear fusion, and any elements greater than iron is supposed to undergo fission. Okay? So, speaking of nuclear fusion and fission, discuss na natin siya quickly. Patapos na tayo. So, nuclear fission, this happens when your nuclei splits into smaller particles. No? So, for example, you have your uranium. It will undergo alpha decay, beta decay, no, in order for it to be stable, no. So, mag-undergo siya ng decay series until it becomes stable, no. Okay? So, yun yung nuclear fission. Okay, so the nuclear fission, this is what we do in nuclear power plants, no. We allow uranium to decay naturally, and with it, energy is produced in the form of heat, and yung heat na yon, that is used to evaporate the water, powering generating gas, and the gas will rotate the turbine. So the turbine will rotate, therefore we have kuryente. Okay? Para lang 'tong hydroelectric dams, 'no. Hydroelectric dams, yung tubig yung magpapaikot ng turbine, okay. Pero 'pag nuclear power plant, itong mga nuclear fission plants natin, what will happen is that the steam produced by the boiling of water due to, nuclear reactions, yung steam na napo-produce niya, yun yung nagpapaikot ng turbine. Okay? Tapos paikot-ikot lang yung gas dyan ng tubig. Okay? So magbo-boil yan, magiging gas yon, iikot ang turbine. As a result, may kuryente. Ito yung problem with nuclear fission plants. No? The problem is may steam. Okay? May steam kasi. Kaya ang nangyayari, if it fails, it explodes. No? Yan yung nangyari sa Chernobyl and sa Fukushima because of the gas. No? Kasi magbo-boil talaga yung water. Water yung nilalagay nila dyan. It will boil into water vapor, minsan hydrogen gas, oxygen gas. No? Kaya sumasabog talaga sila. But there are recent advances on nuclear fission plants wherein instead of using water, they use molten metals. No? And the molten metals, yun yung gagamitin pang-evaporate ng tubig, no? Okay? So, parang naggawa sila ng another layer of safety. So that, kunwari, yung tubig, pwede mo tanggalin. So, yung molten metal, ikot-ikot lang yan dyan, no? So, yun yung mga recent advances sa nuclear power plants. So, instead of using water, they will use molten metal, which will be in direct contact with the nuclear materials in there, no? Para may added layer of security. Okay. But generally speaking, mga nuclear power plants nila, they are generally safe, no? Kasi ang alam lang naman natin na example ng bad ang alam lang natin na examples ng bad side ng nuclear science is the Fukushima and the Chernobyl. Siguro pwede mo isama yung 3 long mile accidents sa United States, pero yun na yun. Okay? Yun lang yun. You can just name 2 or 3. Okay, or just less than 5, no? Yung pwede mo mapangalanan na nuclear accidents na delikado sa tao. Compare mo naman yan sa coal power plants. Sa coal power plants, ano yung problema na kinakaharap natin? Yung global warming. Okay? Mas malala yung global warming. Okay? Kaysa sa Chernobyl and Fukushima. Kasi today, medyo contained na yung contained na talaga yung Chernobyl and Fukushima. Only few people died compared to the effects of global warming due to coal power plants. Okay? Sa coal power plant kasi maglalabas ka ng carbon dioxide, no? And the carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, no? So it will trap the heat, further increasing the temperature in the earth, no? Pero kapag nuclear power plant, itong usok na yan, water lang yan. Okay? Na nagko-condense. Magiging ulap lang din yan. So tubig lang talaga yung ina-evaporate nila dyan. Magiging ulap yan, tas uulan din. Okay? So with this logic, no, mas safe talaga ang nuclear, no? Kasi onti lang yung namatay sa nuclear kaysa sa coal, no? For example, yung pollution brought by coal power plants, it kills millions of people according to some estimates, no? Kasi hindi lang yan global warming, no? It can directly contribute to pollution, which can cause respiratory diseases, no? Such as emphysema, tuberculosis, no? At iba pang mga bagay. Ayun. Kaya we really need to stop using coal, no? Kasi mahirap na eh. We are in the brink of survival na. In just few years, the earth will be too hot, no? Wherein yung ating ice caps matutunaw na sila. Kaya yon, in order to prevent that from happening, we should really use alternatives, no? Instead of using coal power plants. And one of the alternative is the nuclear power plant, no? If it is safe, no? Good yun. Okay. So there are hundreds or thousands of nuclear power plants in the entire world today. And kung magpapangalan ka ng na-aksidente, usually dalawa lang sila. Out of thousands, no? Okay? Hundreds or thousands, no? So, ilan lang yung 2 over hundreds or thousands, no? Ilang percent lang yun? Less than 5% pa yun. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, nuclear is safer than coal power plants, no? Anyway, discuss pa natin yun later. This is what happens sa nuclear fission. You have your nucleus, no? For example, that's uranium-238, no? And that will decay further into smaller particles. And using the Einstein equation kanina na ginamit natin, you can predict the energy produced by your sample. Okay? Pag nuclear fusion naman, ibig sabihin pinagsasama-sama, this is what happens in the sun, no? So sa sun natin, or in the early part of the Big Bang, before siya mag-expand talaga completely, nangyari is some of the particles combine to form heavier particles, no? Okay? So for example, in our sun, it is primarily composed of hydrogen and helium. However, as they fuse together, they produce energy as well and heavier elements, no? So ito yung mga nangyayari. Kung na-discuss to sa physical science nyo, medyo familiar dapat kayo dito. Na-discuss ko to sa physical science ko. So yan, so you have your hydrogen, they will combine to produce helium and heavier elements, no? Okay, the helium may undergo the triple alpha process, no? or the CNO cycle, no? Producing heavier elements, no? So ito yung nangyayari sa sun natin. So for example, this is the surface of the sun. The deeper you go, the heavier elements we have, no? And the iron, yun yung heaviest element na kaya i-contain ng sun. Yun yung heaviest element na kaya niya i-produce. So you may ask, saan galing yung saan galing yung gold, saan galing yung iodine, mas mabigat sila compared to iron. They are produced when the sun dies, no? Ito, physical science din to, no? So yan. When our sun when our star forms, no, it will start producing elements, no, until mag-form siya ng carbon. When it forms carbon, it will become a red giant, no. It will continue fusing elements until it reaches the iron. And once it produces iron, then hindi niya kaya kasi ang iron ay stable na. It will not undergo nuclear fusion anymore. So, ibig sabihin yan, onti na lang yung reactions compared before nung wala pang iron. So, because iron will not undergo nuclear fusion anymore. So, as a result, onti na lang yung maging nuclear fusion reactions. So, ibig sabihin, hindi nakakayanin ng sun mag-produce ng energy. So, as a result, it will collapse and will become a supernova. Okay, so as a supernova, as the sun collapses, all the other atoms are forced to combine together to produce heavier elements such as gold, iodine, no? um, excuse me. Yun, gold, iodine, strontium, so on and so forth. So, nafo-force sila to join together. Okay. Kasi magko-collapse yung star. From very big star, magko-collapse yan inside out, then it will explode into a supernova. So as it collapses, much more heavier elements will be produced. However, they will be eventually expelled by the supernova. Kaya nga sinabi ni Carl Sagan that we are made of star stuff, no? Everything around us is made of star stuff, no? Yung carbon natin that is made by the CNO cycle that happened in the sun, uh, yung gold na nasa devices natin that is made by the supernova, no, the explosion of stars, no. So, ibig sabihin, everything around us is made of nuclear fusion, stellar stuff, no. Kaya niya sinabi yon. Kasi sa sun lang naman nangyayari yung nuclear fusion. Okay? So, yan. Okay, and then yung ating supernova, it has two fates. It could be a neutron star. When you say neutron star, yan yung star na puro neutrons. Okay. Literally, soup of neutrons lang yan nandyan. Or sometimes it can become a black hole. Okay, so yan. However, there are attempts, no, in producing or in replicating nuclear fusion here on Earth, no. Ang kaya natin gawin so for now is the nuclear fission. Madali lang 'yun eh. You have your uranium, allow it to decay. Okay? Nuclear fission 'yun. Pero if you want to combine elements into heavier ones, nuclear fusion 'yun. And that is being replicated in China. So apparently they are successful daw in doing nuclear fusion. However, it is just a trial phase, no? They were still unable to do the yung bigger scale, no? So they have this device here. They call it the sun, no? Literal na sun, wherein hydrogen atoms are there to fuse into helium. The energy involved in that process is very high, no? Kaya gusto nila mag-nuclear fusion. Okay? And generally speaking, mas safer dapat itong nuclear fusion. Kasi ang elements na ma-form mo dito, hindi gaano ka radioactive. Hydrogen, helium lang ma-form mo. Compared to nuclear fission na uranium, magiging polonium, thorium, which is radioactive, di ba? Dito, hydrogen, helium elements lang na mapoproduce mo. Which is generally safer than those. However, we are yet to realize this nuclear fusion in Earth, no? Because apparently it is very hard to do. Sa sun madali yung gawin. Malaki yung sun, maraming energy doon. Sa Earth hindi masyado. Okay? So, yun. So they are still trying and hoping that they will succeed. No? Not only China, may US din, nag-study din yung US na to, and the Europe na, the European countries. Pero hopefully, one of them will be able to come up with a solution because nuclear fusion is generally greater in energy than nuclear fission. Mas maganda to. Okay. Kaso nga lang, mahirap gawin. Kaya we are now reliant on nuclear power plants pa lang. Okay? So, yan. So speaking of nuclear fission ulit, balik ulit tayo sa nuclear power plants. So I just want to go through this controversy about Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. Okay, this was an article in Philippine Star. This is about 5 minutes about nuclear power plant debunked. Okay, so apparently kasi ang daming against sa nuclear science sa Philippines na because they do not understand the nuclear science. Ganun kasi, when you are ignorant on something, you're against it, di ba? Kasi you don't know it eh. For example, anti-vaxxers, no? Those who are against the vaccines don't really know or don't really understand the purpose of vaccines. Okay? The more ignorant the people is, the more resistant they become. But the more informed you are, the more you welcome these ideas, no? So kayo as my students, no, na-discuss na natin yung nuclear science. So dapat you should be more welcoming in nuclear ideas, no, rather than being against it, no. Okay? So ayan. So let us just walk through some of the myths about the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. So again, this is an article from the Philippine Star by Christine Bersamina. Okay? So, unang myth is that there is a fault beneath the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. Mayroon daw fault line so that when nagkaroon ng lindol like the Fukushima ones, masisira daw yung Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. So in reality, according to Dr. sorry, Dr. Arcilia, which is the chief of the PNRI. I actually met Dr. Arcilia nung nag-OJT ako. So, yun. So, according to Dr. Arcilia, although the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant sits under a volcano, that volcano is inactive. Okay? Dormant na siya for years. No? Marami namang vulkan na dormant na sa Pilipinas. Okay? So, yun. So, ibig sabihin, hindi siya case, no, for worries, no. It doesn't really fall under a fault line, no. So, walang fault line talaga sa uh, Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. Okay? So, Philbox na rin nagsabi nun. Okay? So, yan. Ay, ito pala yung about sa bulkan, no? So, yun nga, sabi ni Dr. Arcilia, although ang Bataan Nuclear Power Plant ay nakabuilt siya sa isang bundok, sa isang bulkan dati, that mountain, the Mount Native, is a dormant volcano. Ibig sabihin, it will no longer explode, no? So, karami naman ng mga bulkan sa Pilipinas ay mga dating bulkan, no? For example, yung mga ano ba Mount Apo for example. Alam ko bulkan yun dati, Mount Apo. Ngayon bundok na lang siya, 'di ba? Ganun kasi talaga yung life cycle ng mga bulkan, ng mga 'di ba, if you understand geology, gets mo 'yan. Kasi Dr. Arcilia is a geologist, no, from UP-NIGS, no. Pero siya yung head ng PNRI. Okay. So yun, he understands na yes, dating bulkan yon pero it is now dormant. So it will no longer explode, no. Konti lang naman yung active volcano sa Pilipinas, no. Taal, Pinatubo, Mayon, yun lang yung mga active, no. But other mountains are dormant na. Other volcanoes are dormant. They will not explode anymore. Okay? Sabi pa nga niya dito, for perspective, practically, the whole Metro Manila is built partially on a pyroclastic flows from Laguna de Bay caldera, which is much younger than native Arcilia said. Okay? So, yung ibig sabihin pala yung Laguna de Bay, siya ay caldera. Ibig sabihin, dating bulkan pala yun. Kaya pala may isla yun sa gitna. Kasi dating bulkan. Para yung Mount Taal. Okay? Yung buong lake na yun is, yung Taal Lake na yun, that is the entire caldera. Ibig sabihin, yun yung nag-collapse na part ng bulkan. So, yung natira sa gitna, yun yung remnants na lang. Pero the entire lake is a part of the volcano. Okay? Ibig sabihin pala yung Laguna de Bay din pala, no? Caldera. Ngayon ko lang din nalaman. Okay? Next one, Fukushima doomed the Bataan nuclear power plant. Okay. Arcilia emphasized that the earthquake did not destroy the Fukushima plant. Okay. What destroyed the Fukushima was the tsunami. Okay. Yung tsunami kasi, yun, ang kwento nun, ganito. Lumindol, okay lang, lumindol. Pero nangyari, nagka-tsunami. So nabasa yung mga electrical supplies. So nung nabasa yung mga electrical supplies, nagloko-loko na yung mga readings. So as a result, yan, nagka-aksidente. Okay? So yung kasi yung problem with the Fukushima, it's not the earthquake really. It's the tsunami. Yun yung bumasa sa mga equipment causing them to fail. Okay? So yun yung nangyari. Compare natin yun sa Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. Bataan Nuclear Power Plant is inland and it has high elevation. Nasa gitna siya ng lupa at mataas yung elevation niya. Ibig sabihin, lumindol man, magka-tsunami man, hindi siya ma-affected. So generally safer than Fukushima. Bataan Nuclear Power Plant is old and dilapidated. I don't know what that means, pero old na lang. Okay. Sabi nila, matanda na daw Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. So actually, together with Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, may sister nuclear power plants yan. Ibig sabihin, sister nuclear power plants, yun yung mga kasabay niyang na-build, no, by the same contractor. Okay? Which is the Angra in Brazil, Kayarsko in Slovenia, and Koritu in Korea. Okay? So, ayan, sabay-sabay sila ginawa, no? And in reality, all those other sister nuclear power plants of BNPP is functional up to this day. Okay? So, gumagana pa talaga siya. Okay? So, yan, sabi pa niya, the said nuclear power plants have more than recovered their investment and have upgraded to the latest operational standard while our own nuclear power plant mothballed pa rin siya. Nabayaran na natin siya completely in 2010, I think, na, pero hindi pa rin siya pinapagana now. Okay? BNPP is located in an unsafe geologic location. Arcilia said that BNPP can withstand a seismic load of 0.4 G, 0.4 of gravity. Fukushima can only sustain up to 0.12 G. Ibig sabihin, mas malakas yung capacity ng BNPP to be safe, no, than the Fukushima. Kasi lumindol man, okay, mangyayari talaga yun, lumindol nan, hindi pa rin siya magiging affected, no, because it can sustain 0.4 gravity, no. Nagsabihin, ano yung 0.4 ng gravity? Kahit 3.92 meters per second square yung acceleration vertically, gumanon-ganon man yan, 3.92 meters per second, hindi agad masisira yung Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. Okay? Compared to Fukushima na 0.12 G lang. Okay? So, ganun. So, from all this stuff, na mapapansin natin that Bataan Nuclear Power Plant is a good investment sana, although it was plagued with corruption during the Marcos regime. Okay? Pero sayang, no? Pero rin naman kasi ito ng taong bayan, no? Binayaran din naman natin. Kaya sayang lang, no? But apparently in the recent years, no, there were moves, no, to make this functional. Okay, we just recently signed an agreement with Russia to provide us uranium para sa fuel. But I don't know some of the details kasi PNRI stuff yun. So, hindi ko pa binabasa masyado. Pero at least we are progressing. And hopefully in our lifetime, we will see nuclear power plant work. The Bataan nuclear power plant working. Okay? So, ito pa. This is an article in 8list. This is just a short infographic about the safetiness of the Bataan nuclear power plant. Okay, the problem with Chernobyl, this is a Soviet-built nuclear power plant, it never followed international standard, no? So, ang international standard na tinutukoy dito is the Western one, no? The American standards or the Western Europe standards, no? Soviet, may, alam niyo naman kasi, Cold War noon, no? So, magkaiba talaga yung Soviet and the West, no? So, yan. Apparently, the Soviet standards doesn't meet the requirements of the Western standards, kaya yun, nag-fail siya. Okay? Marami daw failures sa structure mismo ng Chernobyl. Kaya, ayun, kaya siya ganun katindi, ganun siya ka-devastating. For Bataan nuclear power plants, it is safer, no? Kasi it is built to Western standards, kasi American company gumawa ata niyan eh. Okay. So yan, and it is younger than 70% of power plants in America. Okay, so ibig sabihin, it is still younger, it is not old, it can work, no? So if we allow it to run as early as the next 5 years, makakabawi pa dapat tayo ng investment natin. Resource consumption. Look at the coal, no? A lot of materials are needed for a coal power plant to run for 1 year. However, for nuclear power plant, it will just require few amounts of uranium. Ilang kilo lang ng uranium kaya niya magtagal for 1.5 years compared to tons of coal materials used in coal power plants na. So, yan. Mas tipid ang nuclear power plant kaysa sa coal and mas safe na. Okay, the more nuclear power plants, the lower the electric bills. This is true kasi mura lang yung fuel. Yung kasi binabayaran natin sa coal yung fuel. Okay. Pag nuclear power plant, maglagay ka lang ng uranium pellet niyan, allow it to run for years, okay na. Good na yun. Okay? But for coal power plant, you have to change it every now and then, no? Para mag-continue yung burning ng fuel. So, yun. Mas mura yung nuclear power plants kasi onti lang yung fuel na kailangan mo ibayaran, bilhin. Mas mura sana kuryente natin ngayon, no? Pag nagno-nuclear power plant tayo. So, in summary, Bataan Nuclear Power Plant is, is sayang. Kasi, andun na sana no? However, di rin naman natin masisisi yung mga tao dati, no? The reason why Cory halted the nuclear power plant operations is because of the Chernobyl. O kailan ba nangyari yung election ni Cory? That was 1986. Kailan nangyari yung Chernobyl? 1986 din, April. 'Di ba? So ibig sabihin, okay, understandable na andun yung concern, yes. However, other than the Chernobyl accident, ang naging issue rin with Bataan Nuclear Power Plant is the corruption. Okay? So I think there was a Senate hearing on that dati in the early 1990s sa Philippines, no? So hearing sila about the corruption in the contract of Bataan Nuclear Power Plant kasi over budget siya actually. And we just paid it off just early 2010s, no? Kaya ayun, no? Pero sana ginamit din siya, no? Kasi remember, binayaran din natin yan. Tax din naman natin yan. Tax ng mga magulang natin yan before na. So, sayang lang, no? Kasi napatunayan na naman ng mga scientists na safe, no? And nabayaran na natin siya completely sa contractor, no? Even though it is corruption, may mga corruption na nangyari sa kontrata, safe naman daw yung power plant. Di sana ginamit na natin, no? So, yun, tapos na tayo sa buong nuclear chem, no? So, next week, material tayo. And hopefully, mas mabuti na kalagayan ko next week, no? But, ayun, hopefully, this topic will open your eyes to see the good in nuclear science, no? Kasi kagaya nga ng sinabi ko, the more ignorant you are, the more repulsive you are, no? For example, anti-vaxxers, no? Ayaw nila sa vaccine kasi hindi nila maintindihan yung vaccine. Wala silang alam. Tayo, scientist tayo, engineers tayo, mga anak tayo ng agham. Dapat hindi tayo repulsive sa ganitong ideas because they can be explained, no? So, nuclear science, maraming against diyan sa Pilipinas, but I hope na this topic will open your eyes, no? Although there are things na medyo hindi maganda, the benefits outweigh the harm, okay? Marami siyang benefits kaysa sa harm, okay? For example, out of hundreds or thousands of nuclear power plants, ilan lang yung na-aksidente? Chernobyl, Fukushima lang yung papangalanan mo. Yun lang. Wala na. Okay? But in coal power plants, we are constantly dying due to the carbon dioxide emission of coal power plants. The earth is literally dying because of that. So in order for us to have a sustainable uh, energy source, we should choose the alternatives. No? We should stop using coal. Okay? Kasi hindi lang naman siya safe. No? Yung nuclear, di lang naman siya safe. Mura pa. Okay? Imagine nyo yung bill nyo magiging 1,000 na lang instead of 5,000, 'di ba? Malaking ginhawa 'yun sa akin kasi kami yung nagbabayad ng kuryente sa bahay eh. Okay? O sana in the near future, no, by the time na maging engineers kayo ay maging mura na yung kuryente natin. Okay? So yun lang. Again, the more ignorant you are, the more repulsive you are. So please be informed para mas maging welcoming kayo sa ideas. As people of science and engineering, as people of STEM, hindi dapat tayo ignorante. Okay? So, yun lang. And thank you and I'll see you again next week. Wednesday, magdi-discuss ako but by Saturday, asynchronous tayo. Okay? So, that will be all. Thank you and pasensya na for the delay sa topic kasi I'm still recovering until now. Masakit pa rin lalamunan ko. So, I'll see you again next week. Stay safe everyone. Bye-bye.